Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to Being Here. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya.
Collectively,
Okay.
and we finish each other's sentences. And
No, I don't. But why don't you tell me?
it makes it so much easier to have frisky business when we're in tune with each other.
This is true.
And when we listen.
Listening is key to seeing life as it shows up with the immediacy of the moment.
When we put this together, the title for this, and life can be frisky, flirty, and fun, and join Ariel and Shya in being here and let the moment light your fire. Well, if you're cold right now, your furnace has gone cold, your fireplace has gone cold, perfect. If you're already revved up, that's great too. But I think sometimes when we approach the topic of sensuality, sexuality, frisky business, there's
Is that what this is about? I was wondering.
It was a play on risky business.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I think sometimes people may have an interest in sensuality, but they're currently feeling a little blah type.
Well, moving through the malaise and the inertia to get yourself engaged in life is basically what we're talking about. It's a great idea to have frisky business, but then it requires some doing, some engagement, some responsibility, and having it show up. And that's up to you.
The first thing is to take a look at where you are, how you are. How are you?
And be okay being the way you are.
So if you're feeling blah, if you're feeling excited, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling moved, however it is, that's the perfect you. Judge it, you're stuck. The other thing Shya and I've noticed about being flirty and fun, flirting earlier in the day, like we're in the car and we're on the way to New York City, and it's gonna be hours and hours before we come home. We may feel very frisky and flirty and it's all very exciting. Well, it's exciting two ways. It's early in the day, maybe we're feeling very revved, but it's also safe because nothing we can do about it really. I mean, we could kind of
pull over to the side of the road, but not likely.
It's a safe thing. And I find that sometimes people rev each other's engines when it's safe, but when it comes time to playing, like, so that it
not
goes.
Tonight, honey, I have a head.
But also, Shya and I've gotten very respectful that neither one of us makes a promise for the evening early in the day unless we're absolutely intending to keep it. Because it kind of breaks your heart and your spirit when you say, okay, honey, tonight. And every once in a while we'll go, wouldn't tomorrow be nicer?
Yeah.
Yes. So that was just what came to mind. Before we take our first guest, however, I do have one other theme that if you want to feel frisky or flirty or have fun, it really starts with being kind to yourself.
Right.
Because if you're not being kind to yourself,
then you won't allow yourself to have sensuality, and you won't allow yourself to be loved.
It wasn't too long ago that Shya had this really grouchy morning. He woke up and he just felt grouchy. There was a word for it in German. I can't remember it, but it was like, grumbly. And he couldn't shake it right away, but he was talking to me about it. And it's interesting, if you're feeling grouchy, like the world is doing it to you, you're not being kind to yourself, and you're certainly not being kind to the people around you. And for some of you, that may be a strategy. It may be let me be grouchy, they'll whack you so that I don't have to deal with what you were talking about earlier, Shya, moving through the malaise or the layers that build up between us and another person, and being sensuous.
And being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable is the thing.
Mm.
When you take away your barriers, your walls, then the soft, yummy part of you is what's left behind, but you can't protect that.
It's not even just in sensuality and sexuality, as you're saying, that the vulnerability. I realize that when I'm tight in myself, I might go into a grocery store and shop. But when I'm willing to be vulnerable, I actually have these mini meaningful interactions with people that are fun and flirty, not as in trying to snag their interest in me sexually, but as in being self-expressive and allowing the person to be self-expressive right back. Should we take our first
fun? Having fun with your life. Yes, let's take our first caller.
Yeah. Okay, Sandy, welcome to being here. Tell people where you're zooming in from.
Hi, this is Sandy from Fairfield, New Jersey. I'm calling in from my studio. I'm an artist. I'm a designer, a photographer, a creator, fabricator. I just love the creative process, and I love this community because this community is the closest I find to having my artist friends who are pretty mellow and kind people, and everyone I find in our community is really kind and sweet. And
well, they don't start that way, Sandy.
I know I didn't start that way either.
Right, but you know that you've discovered how to be kind to yourself is an interesting journey that may be of value to somebody who's listening into this podcast.
It makes me wonder, though, Sandy. It doesn't make me wonder, but I find myself wondering. I love that you introduce all of the things that you have an interest in, but I noticed there was something notable in there. And generally, when you introduce yourself, and of course, it's not always. It would be too long, I guess, but in there you miss, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. Not that you need to put forward your bona fides, but there's something in there where it feels like your life may be a little segmented. So you have your artist friends, you have this community, and then your family. It all feels very separate somehow.
Interesting. We just celebrated on the holidays with my family, and I'm surprised I didn't really notice to say it, because it was an amazing day. We haven't been together in at least a year because of the COVID or the grandkids being sick or someone being sick, and some of us might have gotten together. So seeing all my kids and my kitties, all my grandchildren in the same space is just was just an amazing day. I wanted a seat at the table with the kids, and my daughter said, "No, that's not appropriate. You have to sit with the grown-ups." I said, "Oh, geez, I want to sit." But I ended up sitting with the kids afterwards anyway. So yes, I appreciate what you said. Um, I am a grandfather who just dearly loves his grandchildren, and I have 3 great kids. I'm a daughter-in-law who I consider as a daughter. I have a wife, and I have amazing friends as well.
You're a lucky man.
Yes, I am. I pinch myself every so often.
I have a question for you, and it's not only for you, it's for all the listeners as well. Do you find that your ability to be kind to yourself fluctuates? Like, is it different around family members? Is it different around golf partners? Is it different around,
Yes, it changes. It does change. And it changes when you said golf partners. I love to play golf, and I have different friends that I play with. Some are originally from Brooklyn, and there's this thing that I don't know what it's all about, but they have to have this trash talk, and they don't really mean to hurt you, but they say things to you. And it's trash talk is more known when you're playing basketball or you're doing one-on-one sports, and golf is more of a gentleman's game, even though I play with ladies. Um, um, so, people will say things and try to irritate you, not necessarily to make you play not as good. So that kindness thing suddenly stops for a moment, and hopefully I realize it right away, and then I don't come back saying something I really shouldn't have said. The kindness thing with my grandkids, let's say, it's just always there. There's nothing that they could do. Or nothing yet that they can do that's going to upset me, that I'm not going to be kind to them. So I guess it does change on a situation, but it doesn't linger as when I first met you, it would have. Somebody would say something to me, and my whole thing was like, I need to say something back instead of taking a deep breath and just realizing saying nothing sometimes is just better, and smiling at them and bringing them into my happy place versus me going to whatever space they're at.
Mm.
Hmm.
So did you have a question for us today?
Yeah. Sometimes when I have to talk about myself, this happened recently last week, where a client who I didn't know, I was recommended to, and they said, we really want to know more about you. You might not have another chance with this. I was on a conference call, and they said, brag. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for me to just brag about myself. It's not necessarily what I've been. Not saying I can't do it. I started doing it. I started, talking about some of the bigger projects that I did. And once I got into the flow, but I kept on hesitating, and I kept on doubting myself, where instead of realizing how special I might have been or how special I am, I don't know if that's a question, or it's what would help me to be more self-confident of myself.
Well, I think you should leave you out of it. And what I mean by that is, if you look at what you've accomplished as though it isn't you, as though you were a camera that recorded the accomplishments of this man without a judgment system that finds fault with you, because your judgment system finds fault with you. That's the only reason you wouldn't fully express how magnificent you are. But if you're a camera and just reported objectively those projects that you've done, those things that you've done in your life, you might discover that's a really amazing man.
I like what you started with, Shya. When Shya says it's, leave you out of it, they're asking you to brag less about you and more about them. They want to feel confident that they would be choosing a competent person. They want to be able to brag about the person they chose to do this project. So it really isn't about you. It's about taking care of them.
Interesting. Both things are interesting.
Well, interesting is a rather non-committal response.
Oh,
because what does interesting say?
I said it as I'm interested, and I want to allow more of it to come in, and less of my judgment to get in the way. That's what I meant by interesting.
Okay. Well, you're an artist. You create beautiful objects. What we're asking you to do is create a word picture that allows you to express yourself, so that we see your brilliance immediately rather than at the end of some project. And that's what they're asking for. They want you to play. They want you to be bold, go out there on the skinny branches and run around.
They're actually asking you to be frisky, flirty, and fun.
That's right.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, well, I did an expo and I did 70,000 feet worth of boxes. It's very different than I created this entire display, 70,000 feet worth. You should have seen the people walking around in it. They were walking with their jaws dropped open. I've been doing this since 1970. I have met mayors and, you know, when I walked around your studio and saw pictures of you with different dignitaries, and you were like, oh yeah, yes, oh yeah. Because when you are flirting and quote,
Well,
bragging,
you could relate to those people like you're relating to your grandchildren. Let's see. You're not afraid of your grandchildren, are you?
Not
yet.
at all.
Not yet.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, see, that's the thing. You're afraid they'll find something out about you that's bad rather than find out how great you are.
Shai said something funny to me the other day, Sandy. He's like, this is me. And if they don't like it, F them. And I love that. It was like, hey, you know, it wasn't, I mean, it sounds, it's out of context, but he said it to me in a funny and fun way. Like, I'm not going to suppress myself to try and be liked. If you have to suppress yourself to be a business person of the right ilk while working with somebody, you're going to have a miserable time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I do find what I do, or what I have done over the years, I have a great time. I love what I do, and I just enjoy every single day, every single moment of when I do stuff. All the things that come that I wish didn't happen, but that's just, I guess, part of it. There's too many wonderful things that outweigh the things that I didn't like.
You know, the other day we were at Costco and they had these outdoor lights that turn on when the
Motion detector
motion
lights.
detector at night, you know, those
Mhm.
secure lights. They
Right.
had, so we bought one. We actually bought two, but returned one because we only needed one. But the installation was difficult because the old lamp, the old
Unit.
security light that existed was very old, and the electric box they put in wasn't really attached to the building, so it was floating loose. And I had to improvise. So what would seem to be a problem turned into an opportunity to improvise and create a way of making it work that was apparently difficult, but it was easy. And I felt like a genius after I got it done. And that's what you're talking about when you're talking about these things that appear to be glitches or difficult things that you find a solution to, a workaround.
You get to put on your superhero cape and be, you know, underneath it, there's a big S instead of Superman, it's Sandy Man. You know, you get to do, or Shia Man in this case.
Yeah. In any event, I got the thing installed. It took a little longer than one would expect, but it was really a great accomplishment in the simplicity of it. I used a piece of electric fence wire, you know, just a piece of steel wire to hold it in place as I put the thing together. And it all worked out so effortlessly. And I found that so rewarding because I was there, I was looking to see what was needed, and I produced it. And I think that's what you do on an everyday basis, but you disregard the brilliance it takes to figure out those workarounds.
And the deep knowledge base that you have that informs that, as well as your creativity. You're not
Yes.
smiling, but yes, thank you for saying something.
Yes.
Because we
Yes.
won't release this video yet. Yeah.
Ariel said something that brought back, not to take away from any of the brilliance that you did, Shya, but when you said put on the cape, I started my first business in 1976, and I did work for this hair cutter, and he gave us hair cutting capes, you put them on the front, and he wanted us to put logos on it. So I needed it to figure out where to put a logo, but I kept one, and it was a red one. I happened to like the color red, and I put an S on it, and I used to walk around the office once in a while with the cape on, but again, I was younger, and I guess I lost that, and I should get a cape again and just keep it here and feel like
You actually have it. It's just a ghost cape, because I actually saw you wearing a Superman cape just now. So when you don it, I'm not, as in put it on, I'm not sure you have to put on a real one. You can put on your metaphorical cape and walk around the office or around your home.
Mhm.
You may want to just wear your cape alone and see where it takes you.
I'm going to try that. I just put it on. I just put it on now.
Okay,
Good.
excellent. Thanks for being with us today.
Yes.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for bringing me to a new place.
It's that time.
The time for what?
Our listener feedback spotlight.
What is that?
Well, I'm so proud of the people who listen to this show. And now we get to hear from one or more of them about what's happening in their lives with transformation by listening to this podcast and
what they've discovered about life, what they've discovered about their lives, that they are experiencing fun in their lives.
And that they want to share it with you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Vivian, and I'm from Munich. And ever since I've met the Canes, I have softened up. I'm not a tough cookie anymore.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our next Living Made Easy seminar is Monday, January 30th. We are, when you are listening to this, currently in Costa Rica for the first time in several years, and we'll give you an update when we get back, but we are pre-recording this. The following seminars, I just wanted to give you a heads up that normally we do a Tuesday evening each month for our European community, but in February, we're doing it on Monday, because Monday is February 13th. It's the day before Valentine's Day. So we're doing 2 special magical relationships seminars that day. One during the middle of the day, our time, which is evening European time, and one in the evening. So if you want to know more about either of those or any of the Living Made Easy 2-hour seminars, just go to transformationmadeeasy.com. You can find out more and register.
And then we're doing a seminar called, an in-person seminar called Being Alive. There'll be a Camp Tecumseh here in New Jersey, and that's going to be in March. We don't have the date firm yet because we had several possibilities, and by the time
we should probably have the details for that next week, but we're pre-recording it a little before we have it all complete.
So look at a website and you can find that date.
transformationmadeeasy.com. All right, let's take our next guest, shall we?
Yes. Renee.
Welcome to being here. And tell everybody where you're zooming in from.
Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm calling from San Francisco.
Welcome.
Thank
Nice to see
you. Yeah, I'm newly married as of October 18th. I've been with my husband for since we've been together 16 years, and we just tied the knot officially. And I kind of thought, oh, it's just going to be, just like it has been. But it's just really fun and great. And I'm just feeling lighter and happier. And so, I just, that's kind of what's been going on. So background for this.
Well, when you say that, I wonder if it's in code. Have you been
in what kind
frisky
of code?
together?
Have we been what?
More frisky?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's just kind of a renewed, I think, appreciation of each other.
How old is your son?
14.
So you guys have been together for 16 years. You had a son. You just went along, got along. It was great. I have to say, I really admire your husband, Christopher. We know a bit of your background, that he actually told you this was important to him, and that you found your way to allowing your vulnerability and saying yes and saying I do.
Yeah.
And I find it quite lovely that you had the expectation, it's a piece of paper, it doesn't mean anything. So, we live together. We've been together for 16 years. That you're discovering the wonder of wholeheartedly saying yes.
To surrendering to your life.
Yeah. And it's funny because when you
Well,
you said
you had to put down all of your arguments and lists of things that Christopher isn't because of who he is, and discover that there's something really special about surrendering to your life. Having a relationship be a permanent thing rather than give yourself back doors.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because you just said, Ariel, you just said wholeheartedly, and the word that kind of finished itself in my mind was wholeheartedness. And I thought, and I think I went there because it's a whole heart thing now. And it was before, but it feels wholehearted.
I don't know that it was before.
I don't think you heard what Shya say because it wasn't convenient. And so
okay.
It's coming from a woman too, makes it easier.
It does.
I actually listened to him, and he said before, you kept a back door. You didn't say, this is where I live. There's always this, well, I can be out of here.
Right.
One of the amazing things about Ariel was when she told me she wanted us to get married and she wanted to marry me. I said, okay. And she said,
he said, will you marry me?
And she said, no, don't do me any favors. Because I was going along with it, not because I really wanted to.
It was not a genuine.
It was not wholehearted.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay.
Right.
Then I can become the victim of it.
And then it will fail just like previous marriage, which was actually a success because he needed to depart and she needed to depart and find her now husband. It was, it was perfect. They were done. But the victimization as a foundation to build our relationship on, I was absolutely not willing.
Oh, yeah, that's very insightful.
And, the other thing is this, you chose Christopher a long time ago, but you didn't have the courage at that time to make it a permanent thing.
It's really, when Shya says surrender, you had to surrender. I'm certain you misheard him. You think you had to surrender to Christopher. You
Right.
had to surrender to your choice. You surrender to the fact that you choose him. She's looking confused. So, yes,
Am I?
I surrendered to Shya regularly. He surrenders to me. But the big thing was I had to own.
Well, surrender.
He's my choice.
See, surrender is not succumb.
Hmm.
When you surrender, you have it be as though you're choosing what you have in your life. You stop fighting what you have.
Well, you've been recently on a number of Living Made Easy seminars. It's been really a delight. And one of the things you've surrendered to is the fact that over a period of time, you have amassed more weight than you would like to have.
Correct.
And you've surrendered to the fact that your body is carrying more pounds than your frame is designed to carry. And what's interesting about that surrender is I find as you talk about it, how delighted you are with the process of discovering a new lifestyle, like getting up and jumping around when your watch says it's been 2 hours, or gee, I haven't got my steps. Let me go up and down the stairs. You talked about it the other night. You're talking about it, and I hauled myself up the stairs, and it was fun. And it's like you're flirting with yourself as opposed to I'm wrong.
Yeah. It is fun. I like what you just said also, Shya, about surrendering is not succumbing. That kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Well, good. The thing is, most people succumb to their lives.
Yeah.
They go along with it, but not fully, not with all their heart, not fully engaged, not as if it was their idea in the first place.
Right. And just the experience now of being in my body is not as it was before I got married, before this kind of just whenever it happened, because now I'm wholeheartely in the body that I inhabit, and it is fun, and I do feel like it's a surrender, not a succumbing.
Well, when you got married, you challenged the story, I'm overweight and unattractive. You had planned to get married in jeans and a sweater because nothing else would look good on you. And you went out and in a day found the most gorgeous dress. You look so beautiful. And you started by challenging that story you had that was not true.
It started really when Shya said there was something that you said in October, like October 17th, it would have been, that just opened the door to all of that and to everything that everyone said in support afterwards. I wish I could remember what it was, but it was I'm sorry, what was that?
I'm glad you don't remember what it is.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what it is.
You
right.
used it
as an opportunity to jump into your life.
Become alive.
Yeah.
See, look, I could be brilliant and have all kinds of wisdom. And if you're not receiving that, if you're not receptive, if you're not willing to jump into your life, what I have to say is of absolutely no value.
Or annoying.
That's right. Or annoying.
Right. Or something that I fight against. Yeah. Right. Right.
I've just been really enjoying how much more life there is in you. And mind you, you said I got married October 18th. And so
Of this year.
so this airs next year on the 18th of January. But for when we're recording this, it's just, like 5 weeks ago, because we're doing this in advance. And
Right.
And you don't realize how extraordinary that is. Ordinary people that don't get married for 16 years don't get married.
and if they do, it's kind of like,
They don't. They don't.
no.
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 It's just not, because look, I live with this guy,
It's good enough.
it's good enough.
Right. Yeah, no, and it wasn't it wasn't good enough for us because we're great. So
And heads up, people who are listeners, if you don't get our newsletter and our blogs, you should. Renee's working on a blog about this. It's just so exciting. And in there will be the picture of gorgeous her in the gorgeous dress that her son took of them at their wedding. And so it was like a 3-person delight, because I often find that pictures are a reflection of the picture taker as much or sometimes even more than the person they're taking the photo of. So that you two look so in love and delightful and handsome and beautiful. It says a lot about your son's relationship with you.
yeah, and it was fun too. It was a fun picture, and we do have a lot of fun together, all three of us. So
Sweet.
thank you for your support in all of it.
Well, I want to thank you for your surrendering to you, in that you've been bringing yourself to seminars with us now
For a while.
for a while. And the consistency has made everything possible, because you're much more living your life directly and much less complaining in your thoughts that things aren't the way you want them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And there were moments in there where you bumped up against your own discomfort with yourself, and you kept coming. I know there were people who really enjoy your company, who've encouraged you, and you allowed yourself to be encouraged. But I always, it's interesting, encourage, courage. You have courage. And I find that about the people in our community, because in order to come, there needs to be a willingness, and even, listen to this podcast, there has to be a willingness to discover something new.
To see your life non-judgmentally, rather than through the litany of complaints that most people describe their life to themselves in.
That's it, through rather than through the litany of complaints. That makes so much sense.
Isn't that fun? She actually heard you and could repeat it verbatim.
I know.
Yeah, you are a delight, Renee, really.
Yes,
Oh,
Renee,
thank you.
for being you.
Thank you.
And thanks for being with us today. Yet another gift for Sandy, and now you, another gift for our listeners.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
If you want to be a listener on being here, like Renee, you can reach out through transformationmadeeasy.com. Go to the app. You can find out how. Not to the app. Go to the Being Here section. Normally, I have it written here. I have it so I can read it off. I don't see it on my template today. And if you want to leave a review, you can do that as well. If you'd like to put out a listener spotlight, those are the delightful self-expression things in the middle of this podcast. You can go up to our website and find out how. And if you feel to do any of those things, thanks in advance. And if you don't pressure yourself.
Next week's episode.
Listening doesn't hurt.
That's right.
We'll be back next week. So come on back.
And
Don't miss being here.